This is a brief video on Apple's San Francisco font and how to use it in Figma for your iOS designs. Let's dive in. San Francisco debuted in 2014 for the Apple Watch initially, and then the following year Apple rolled it out to iOS. And it's the main font for all of Apple's operating systems. It's designed to be readable, scalable, and seamlessly integrated into the user experience. If we look here at developer.apple.com/fonts, Apple has this page here to kind of summarize San Francisco and its other fonts. So the first thing we see here is this highlighted watch the latest videos about fonts. If we click that, that takes us to a page with a list of videos about different typography features for Apple's platform. So these are videos created for Apple's developer conferences, WWDC. These go back to 2017. And there's different videos here about different features of San Francisco and typography, SF symbols, all kinds of stuff here. This is a great resource. So check that out. If we come back here, let's just move through this page. So just describing San Francisco here, we have SF Pro, SF Compact, and SF Mono are the different fonts as part of the San Francisco family. So Pro is the main one you're going to see everywhere. Compact is what is used on the watch. So that's the primary font for watchOS. And SF Mono is the font used in Xcode, the developer app for creating iOS apps and Mac apps. And you might use SF Mono, though, if you create an app that has a snippet of code, you would probably use SF Mono to show that code. It's just it's a monospace font, so all the character widths are the same, and that's a great way to display code in your app. And then New York is a serif font that's available as well. Moving down here, we have some more versions of San Francisco for different languages. We have a link to the typography section of the Human Interface Guidelines, which we're going to come back to in a second. Another link to that same video page. And then we have frameworks and tools, SwiftUI, which is the UI framework that Apple encourages developers to use to create apps. That has great support for text management in San Francisco. UIKit also does. That's just an older version, an older UI framework. And then AppKit is what you would use if you're developing an app for the Mac. SF Symbols, which is part of the San Francisco font. It's thousands of icons that are all part of the font. So the advantage there is that these icons scale alongside the font. So as you increase or decrease the size of a font, if you're using an SF symbol, it will also scale along with the font. And Core Text is the text engine that Apple uses. And that's really about it. Let's go into the Human Interface Guidelines. So this is the typography page in the HIG, the Human Interface Guidelines. And this is a great resource for reading all about different features of San Francisco. So they're encouraging you to ensure legibility in your app, use font sizes that most people can read easily. That makes a lot of sense. They're telling you that for iOS and iPadOS, that the default size is 17, but you don't want to go below 11 points. And that differs for each operating system here. And let's see, conveying hierarchy. Adjust font weight, size, and color as needed to emphasize important information and help people visualize hierarchy. You know, a page title at the top of a screen, it's probably going to be larger text. Then you're going to have section text, which is a little smaller, and then body text is smaller than that. And you know, the weights of those are going to change. So you just want to convey hierarchy with how you use your typeface. Use system fonts. So Apple provides 2 typeface families that support an extensive range of weights, sizes, styles, and languages. And they're talking about how it's a sans serif typeface. It includes SF Pro, Compact, and all of these different variants. Here we see the different weights available for San Francisco. So we go from ultra light all the way to black. I typically have just stuck with regular, maybe medium, semi-bold to bold, and kind of in that range there. I've never really, I don't think ever used ultralight or black, but it's available and it's great that it's there. The system defines a set of typographic attributes called text styles that work with both families. A text style specifies a combination of font weight, size, leading values for each text size. So for example, body text style uses values that support a comfortable reading experience over multiple lines of text, while the headline style assigns a font size and weight that help distinguish a heading from surrounding text. And, those things combined help support a visual hierarchy of the text on the screen. Consider using built-in text styles. The system-defined text styles give a convenient and consistent way to convey your information hierarchy through font weights and weight. Using text styles with the system fonts also ensures support for dynamic type and larger accessibility type sizes. So, and they talk about using custom fonts, which you can. I highly encourage you just to use San Francisco, unless you absolutely have to support another font, maybe for your company's brand, and they might want you to use a different font. But I would encourage using San Francisco just because it's so built in, so integrated into the OS that it makes things a lot easier. Dynamic type. So dynamic type is a system-level feature in the different OSs that lets people adjust the size of visible text on the device to ensure readability and comfort. So you see here how this email is a default size, and then they can change the size to be much larger, which I can definitely appreciate as I get older nowadays. But if you go into the settings app on your iPhone, you can adjust the size of dynamic type, and you can scale it down or up to make the text the size you want. And if you're using dynamic type, if the app is coded in such a way that it supports dynamic type, then your app will automatically change its size. You don't have to do anything special. You just support it and you're good to go. So let's see some considerations down here. I'm going to skip this part. It's talking about different considerations for the different operating systems. This is good, but we're going to stick with iOS. So here we go, dynamic type sizes. So we have 7 different sizes here. Large is the default size. That's what you're going to use most of the time. But again, if the user goes into the settings app and adjusts the size, they may take it all the way down to X small or all the way up to the largest size. And this table just shows you the different size, weight, and the leading. So yeah, we have 11 different styles here. And what this means is when the developer creates the app, they just specify, hey, this is a Title II. They don't have to tell it what the size is, what the weight is, or anything. They just say it's Title II, and the operating system takes care of the rest. It's really nice. It's really convenient. And then it supports dynamic type right out of the gate. It's great. In a little bit, we're going to show how to support dynamic type in Figma, so you can see your mockups scale up and down. And I think that's a pretty nice feature to have. And we see some accessibility type sizes, the different sizes for macOS, tvOS, watchOS, and then tracking values. So the spacing between letters, letter spacing. is different based on each point size. They're encouraging you to change the tracking based on the size of the text. So that's a good reference for that. Okay, so I think that's about it for the human interface guidelines. Now we're going to move over to Figma, but before I do that, there is one important thing to consider, is that if you use the standalone Figma app and you've downloaded San Francisco, you should be good to go, because the standalone Figma app just reads your system fonts and that's it. But if you're using Figma in the browser, you may want to visit this page and read up on this. So you have to install a Figma font helper to import the font so you can use it in the browser. I've never had to do this. I've always used the Figma standalone app, but this is a good resource for that. So probably just Google add a font to Figma Design, and you should find this page here. I'll also include this link in the notes below. Okay, let's move to Figma now. Okay, here we are in Figma. What I'm looking at right now is the official iOS 18 UI kit that Apple has created and put out there for us to use. So this is a great resource for building mockups utilizing the latest iOS 18 design language. So in this file, you can see examples of how to do different things. You can see the keyboard there, all sorts of stuff. This is really great. This is a really great tool to use for designing for iOS. We have all kinds of different components here to use for building designs. And what I wanted to concentrate, though, on today is the text styles built into this UI kit. So Apple has provided those 11 different text styles that we were just talking about as the name of the text styles in Figma. From body to caption 1, they're all here, and they should all follow those guidelines that we just discussed in the human interface guidelines. So this would be the default size, that large size that we discussed. And so large, body, regular should be a size of 17 and 22 for the line height. And there's the tracking as well. So that's all built in, and that's great. It makes it really easy to use one of these text styles for the text object you're using in your design. However, what's lacking here is support for dynamic type. This is only the default size for all of these. So if you wanted to create text objects at those different scales, from that X small all the way up to the largest size, the UI kit as it is does not support that. So let's go to my file here. So I have created text styles, and what I've done here is I've created only 3 text of the sizes for now. There are more than 3, but this should give you a good idea of how to use this. So large is that default size. So that's the one you're going to use most of the time, and this should match up with what's in the UI kit. I put this green circle emoji in there just to make it easy to find when you're finding the text style to use, which one's the default. But then we have the medium size styles, and the way I've grouped them is just the name of the text style is a folder that holds a regular and emphasized text style. So some of the other ones have more than that. This one has regular, emphasized, italic, and emphasized italic. But that's just kind of following how they did it in the UI kit. But I've created these 3 different sizes that coordinate with the dynamic type sizes specified in the human interface guidelines. Let's go ahead and create a text object. So here we go, San Francisco. And I'm going to detach that from the text style. And so we see here in our typography section in Figma, if we open that up, we've got the different sizes here. I have just installed some of these, that's why they say new. But, you know, we can see the text preview as we move around on here. So compact, once again, that is for watch OS design, so you'd use that there. Mono's more for coding and showing code. And then what we're going to concentrate on is SF Pro. So we have SF Pro, which is kind of the base family. Then we have SF Pro Display, rounded in text. Rounded is exactly what it sounds like. It's the characters are all rounded a bit. You'll see this in the health app, I believe, uses it. Maybe the fitness app as well. But you see that here and there. But it's a good way. It's a little playful way to make your text designed. So SF Pro is kind of the main base font family, or the font, and then you have SF Pro Display. So display and text are very similar to Pro, but they're optically tuned for different scenarios. So SF Pro Display is for bigger text. So you want large titles. They're going to have letter spacing that's a little tighter because those characters are large enough where you don't need to have much space in between them for legibility. Whereas text, you can see as I move up and down here, you see the space between the letters in San Francisco increases for text, but if I move to display, it's decreasing. So let's go ahead and select. Well, let's go ahead and select display here just to show this side by side, and then I'll do another one with text. So same exact size, it's 20 points. You know, everything's the same, but the font is display and text. So you can see this is more built for a larger text, and this is more like a body text. And as I understand it, when you use dynamic type, Apple automatically kind of adjusts that for you. So we're going to just use SF Pro, the base font. But in your app, what happens as the user adjusts the size of things from going all the way to the larger size to the smaller size, along the way, it may, behind the scenes, change that to use display or text. I believe that's how it works. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know in the comments below. But I just wanted to show this, the differences between these fonts. So let's go ahead and select one of our text styles. So you see the green dot kind of signifies that, hey, that's the default size. So here's a large title, a title 1, a body. Let's do a title 3 emphasized. That's what that looks like. All right, so I just wanted to show those differences. If we move down here, I've taken screenshots of those tables that are in the human interface guidelines, and we're showing medium, the large, the default, and then X large. So you see the different sizes here, and then these text sizes should correspond to those. So if we look at a large title for X large is 36 points and 43 points for the leading, and there you have it. So I just want to put that in here as a reference. And then if we were to build a design kind of to show, to utilize dynamic type, I've created this example here. So this is going to be a list of books. I've created a base component that has the book title. We're using an SF symbol for this book icon. So if you select that, you can see it's text, and it's the emphasized title 2. And these stars are also SF symbols. So these are body, regular. And then we have a title 2 for book title, headline for the author. This one is using body, and this one uses subheadline. sub-headline. And that's kind of talking about that visual hierarchy, right? The book title is the most important thing we want to have displayed on this card, then the author, then the genre, and then description. So with that base component created, I've created a new component with variants. This variant is our large. So we have a large default. Then we have a medium size, which should be a little smaller, and then X large. And you can see the text size is slightly smaller and bigger than the default. So here is the app. We have a list of cards. So these are all instances of this book component. And right now, if I go in and select this, you can see it is set to large default. Each one of those is the same. But if I were to select all of these and then change this to X large, you see that it scales up in size. And then I can change it to medium to go all the way down and back to default. So I think that's kind of a cool way to show what dynamic type would do to your design in Figma and how you might organize the text styles in Figma so that they are easier to use. I think this might be a good way. You know, I'm only supporting the 3 sizes. There are more sizes, so you could support the different sizes, and that allows you to see, hey, you know, something might look a little off in the largest size. Are there any design considerations we need to make to modify it to support that better? And that's really it for this video. I just wanted to give a high-level kind of look at this stuff and show how to do it in Figma. In the next video, I'm going to dig into SF symbols. There's a whole SF symbols app for managing and creating custom symbols that are part of San Francisco. So I'm going to go in depth on that. So look for that video coming up soon. Did I miss anything? Is there anything I should have included in this video? Is there anything I got wrong? Any recommendations for videos in the future? Any comment you have at all, just leave it in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.